So we're going to read at the bottom. On the bottom we had a story of Rabbi Yehuda Anasi and Rabbi they were walking, and as they were walking they came to a city, and they asked, are there any tamid chacham in that city? So they were told, yes, there is a tamid chacham. He is blind, and let's go visit him. So Rabbi turns to Rabbi Yehuda Anasi and says, nothing to do with the guy's blindness, but you're a Nasi, it's pasnish that you should go visit the Talmid Chacham. The Talmid Chacham should come to you. The story that with Shazar. When Shazar came, President of Israel came to visit. The pundits in Israel were going crazy that he wanted to visit the Rebbe. It's pasnish. It doesn't make sense that a president of a country should visit a rabbi in Brooklyn. Shazar was a chassid and said, no, he's my Rebbe. And he made sure he goes visit the Rebbe. This is the real Nasi. In any case, so Rabbi turns to Rabbi Nasi and says, it doesn't make sense that you as a Nasi should go visit a Talmid Chacham in the city. So Rabbi said, no, I'm still going, and he went. As they left the Talmid Chacham, he gave them a very unique and nice blessing. He gave them a bracha that what? So the same way you came to greet someone that can't see, you came to greet someone that can be seen, but not someone that can see, because he was blind. Same thing also, you should be greeted, but someone that is not seen, but sees you. Basically, the Eibishter should greet you. Eibishter can't be seen, but he sees you. So Abida turns to Rabbi and says, if you would have convinced me not to go, I would have missed this beautiful bracha. So they turned to this Talmid Chacham and asked them, first of all, why did you give us such a blessing? Why are we worthy of blessing, of such a beautiful blessing, just because we came to visit you? So it says, I learned this from the Yaakov of the city of of the little village of Chitya, because Rabbi Yaakov was an elderly person. His teacher must have been younger than him, and he would greet his teacher on a daily basis. When he got older, his teacher told him, don't be pained by the fact that you're old and you can't walk. Don't come, and don't be pained by the fact that you can't greet me. So Rabbi Yaakov turned to his teacher and says, is it nothing to you what it says in a pasuk in Tehillim? In a pasuk in Tehillim it says like this. The pasuk speaks about the Rashoim, wicked people, and the pasuk says in a question, "Vayechi oid lanetzach." This is about 9 lines in the bottom at the end of the page. Vayechi oid lanetzach. Will it live forever? V'lo yidden hashachas. He will not see the pit, the Gehenna. The Dasha, the pasuk tells that the pasuk tells the Dasha, you will die, just like Chachamim, even Chachamim, wise people, tamid chacham tzaddikim die. The same thing also. Dasha, don't think that you live forever, you'll die. Rabbi Yaakov, if it doesn't say in the pasuk, it doesn't say clearly that it's a question. So Rabbi Yaakov made a drush, made a change around a little bit, and it said that no, the pasuk is read benichusa, pashtus. The pasuk is read that what the pasuk said, v'yichiyod lanetzach, he will live forever or live for long. Lo yidden hashachas, he won't see Gehenna. Why? Ki yireh chacham yemusa, because he sees chachamim during the time of death. And the Mashal explains what is so important at the time of death. We actually learned in Moed Katan that when someone passes away, the big things are happening in the room, and you should be there, and you can't turn around, and all different types of things it says about someone dying. So when the Talmid Chacham passes away, it's such a huge thing. So when someone sees it, he should make tshuva, whatever, and that's why he would live forever. So Yaakov said, if during the time of dying, of a Talmid Chacham dying, someone gains a long longevity, for sure greeting a Talmid Chacham while he's alive, you will for sure gain longevity. So basically he told his teacher, even though he was old, he says, I'm coming to greet you because I want to see a Talmid Chacham. Every time I see a Talmid Chacham, Mashal explains, is like seeing the Shechina itself, and that gives me longevity, so therefore I'm coming, even though I'm old and I'm weak, I can't walk, I'm still coming. So this is the bracha that the Talmid Chacham told Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi, the reason I'm greeting you with the bracha that you should see the Shechina, because he came to greet the Talmid Chacham, and everyone that greets the Talmid Chacham is Zoiche, and he would greet the Shechina, so therefore I'm giving him this bracha. So this is what we finished last week, and as I said, I had to redo it because I think at the end I didn't really, I saw as I was reading that some things didn't make sense, I had to look it up again. Okay. New story. Rav Idi Avud Rav Yaakov Idi. This is 7 lines from the bottom. 8 lines from the bottom at the end of the page, at the end of the line. Rav Idi Okay, the father of Rabbi Yaakov Idi Havelogel, the Havelozet Tlas Yachi Be'ocha. His way of living, making a living, or his way of learning was that he would spend 3 months on the road. And one day he went to his teacher. Okay, one day he went to his teacher to learn. Rashi says that's what he did. Rashi says that after Pesach he left his house, because Pesach is a mitzvah to be with your family, and there's a mitzvah of Maseches Chagiga to make your wife happy and the children, everything. So right after Pesach he left, and he spent 3 months on the road. So basically Tezvav Tammuz, or after Chaval of Tammuz, he reached his teacher's house. He stopped. He learned one day, turned, walked back 3 months to go back to his house to be home for Sukkot. Because again, Sukkot you have to be with your family. That's what Rashi explains it. The Masha explains it doesn't make sense. If that's the case, then he's missing Shavuos. Shavuos is just the Yontif like any other Yontif. You also have to be home with your kids and your family on Shavuos. So the Masha explains how it's different. It's not that he traveled 3 months there and 3 months back. He was a merchant, and in order for him to make schale, he would travel around. And he only once in 3 months did he have time to sit down in the shul of his teacher and learn. So every 3 months he sat down. Not that he traveled there and traveled back. 3 months he was going around. Once in every 3 months he was able to go to the shul and to his teacher and learn. So that's why he showed up in the shul. His friends didn't take it lightly. He said he's a disposable rabbi. The Rabbanan called him a one-day rabbi, a one-day Talmud Chacham. He coming for one day. What does it mean? It's nothing. Cholash daite. و.א-ו.ב was not. Rabbi was not excited about this. He became very upset. And he used the pasuk that it says in ov. It says in ov that Schoik l'Raיי'ה became a laughing stock for my friends. They make fun of me that I only have time to learn once every 3 months. Rabbi Yochanan ran after him and said, please, I'm begging of you, do not have a kpeh, do not be upset that the Chacham, the Chaz Hashem, they should be punished. Because don't be upset, they're going to get, it's not worth it. It's not worth punishing them. Rabbi Yochanan didn't only stay with his words, he turned around and went back to the, if you want to call them bullies, the people that laughed at Ravidi, and I told him that what you did was wrong. Why? Because it said like this. V'dash, he said a dash. V'oisi yoyim yoyim dash. It's in a pasuk. This pasuk is found in Yeshaya. The Eibishter says that on a daily basis you will seek the Eibishter. V'das drachai chefatin. You will yearn to know my ways. So v'chiba yoyim dash noise v'layla indon noise. Do you only search for the Eibishter during the day but not at night? Do you only learn by day and not learn at night? And the Mashal explains, how do you know if the pasuk yoyim yoyim? Why would you think that night not? So it explains, if you would say yoyim yudosh, and if you would say just one day, you will only use the word yoyim once, then we know yoyim, what's a day? A day is a day and night. If the pasuk repeats day, it means to exclude something. Now, l'chayda, it means to exclude the night, because day by day you should search the Eibishter, not night. But that doesn't make sense, like the mother says. You also learn at night. So we must exclude something else, or include something else. Only by day do you search the Eibishter, you want to learn and search the Eibishter's ways. The pasuk is coming to tell you, if someone learns Torah only one day, Bashana, one day a year, Mila of a Kasaf, the Kasaf will count it as if he learned the entire year. Ilu, Asik, Kol Hashana Kula, as if he learned the entire year. Okay, so we learned one day, you're very serious about your learning one day, and we're talking about someone that didn't have the ability, not that he had the ability and didn't learn, but didn't have the ability to learn, and basically that such a person is counted that if you focus one day on your learning, the entire year will be counted as if you learned. And the Gemara says the opposite is also true. In a measurement of punishment, the Meraglim, they were punished. The Eibishter said not only Meraglim punished, all the yidden were punished. It was a collective punishment. That you guys went for 40 days, you were running around spying at the Yisrael, and you came back, you didn't like it, so each day is going to be counted as a year. And the amount of days that you tore the land. So the Gemara says, we know that the punishment was 40 years, and the Eibishter said it's 40 years. Did they tour the land for 40 years? or they're sinning for 40 years, they're only 40 days. Malach has come to tell if someone doesn't avail only one day, Bashana in the year, it's as if he didn't avail it the entire year. So the emes is that the Mefarshim already asked here, and the Mashal asks here, we know that Midah Toiva, reward, is always more. So first of all, according to this Gemara, we see it's the same. If you do something good, it's counted a year. If you do something bad, it's counted a year. So first of all, it's the same. And now on that, it's a little excessive to punish an entire nation. One day they messed up, so we're going to give you 365 times, or 354 if people go according to the moon lunar year. Doesn't make sense. So the Kliyaka explains in a pasuk where it says something very beautiful. It says, when it says a pasuk in Yecheskel, Yecheskel says a pasuk that that Mitzrayim, Egypt, is going to be punished for 40 years. So the Mefarshim over there say, where's the cheshem of 40 years? Why did they get a punishment of 40 years? So they explain like this. How many times was the dream of Pare repeated in the Torah? The dream of Pare was repeated in the Torah 3 times. Pare dreamt it. He told it to Yosef. Yosef repeated the dream to Pare. What was the end of the dream? And the dream was that there were 7 stalks, 7 skinny stalks or beaten down stalks, and 7 skinny cows. That was the end of the dream, not the entire dream. The end of the dream that was 7. And Yosef said, what is the meaning of 7? What's the meaning of 7? You have 7 years of hunger, 7 years of abundance. So basically, the Kliyaka says, and then Mefarshim over there explain that each of the 7 stalks that weren't looking too good and the 7 skinny cows, each one is considered 7 years. So you have 7. The first time Pare dreamt that is going to be 14 years of hunger. Then he repeated to Yosef, that's another 14 years of hunger. Then Yosef repeated to him, and it's another 14 years of hunger. They have 42 years of hunger. We know that Yosef told his brothers when they came down that 2 years, the hunger was already 2 years, and there's going to be another 5 years of hunger. How they explain that is not, I'm not sure, but it says it'll be another 5 years. So we know 2 years already passed. So here's a cheshem. If 2 years passed, then they were supposed to have 42 years of hunger, so 40 is left. The Madagalim knew that there's going to be 40 years of hunger in Mitzrayim. Yet they convinced the yidden and told them the 40 days in Eretz Yisrael was so bad, and it was in abundance. These foods were huge, and everything was huge, and everything was big, and there was an abundance of stuff. Yet they convinced them that the 40 days in Eretz Yisrael was worse than 40 years in Mitzrayim. Let's go back to Mitzrayim. Even though I know that we're going to go back to Mitzrayim, we're going to suffer at a minimum of 40 years. We're going to suffer there 100 years. It's worse. The Eibusha said, Azoi, you want 40 years of hunger? You want 40 years of suffering? Midah connected midah, I'm going to give it to you. So the punishment wasn't for 40 days. The punishment was that you said that 40 days were worse than 40 years of hunger in Mitzrayim. So the 40 years of hunger, I punished you. So that's what is stated in the middle of 40 years. That's the Kliyaka explains on this. And therefore, Taka, the midah panis is not more, it's equal. You did something, and I punish you equally. You wanted 40 years of bad, what's it called, bad years? I'll give you 40 years of running around the midbar. Okay, Zadik Malavaita. In the Mishnah we had a machloikas between B'Shamai and Mesil. How old? We know that a katan, a child, does not have a chiyuv, does not have a mitzvah going up to the Beis Hamikdash for Yontif. The Mishnah says, however, a child that could walk, according to B'Shamai, a child that can ride on a father's shoulders, according to Behil, if he can hold on his father's hand and walk from Yerushalayim, the edge of Yerushalayim, till the Azara, such a child should go up, not mitzvah Torah, it's mitzvah chinuch, education. So there's a machlokes. B'Shamai says that the age is earlier. A child that is younger can ride on his father's shoulders. But Sil says you have to wait until he can actually walk. So the Gemara is going to ask a question. It doesn't make sense. If the child made it to the gates of the Shalayim, then we're talking about a child that can walk. So according to B'Shamai, it doesn't make sense. He rode on his father's shoulder the entire day. The entire way. According to Basila also, what do you say that from Shalayim to the Azad you can walk? Who brought him till the Shalayim? So the Gemara faked Azakash. Maseches asked the question. Who brought him until the gates of the Shalayim? And basically, if he walked to the gates of Shalayim, this obviously we're talking about a child that is older. Why is B'Shamai or Basil saying an age, an early age, a later age? We're talking about a child that had the ability to walk. Abaye answered him. Adhacha, until now, we have to fix the words here. Imei, the mechayve b'simcha, the mother that has a chiyuv and simcha. I see say the mother brought him. What is shot? A woman also have a chiyuv of being happy. B'simcha. Section machloikas, whether the woman has a chiyuv by itself, she has the chiyuv of going up to Yerushalayim and eating the korban and being happy, or because the husband has the chiyuv of being happy with his wife, because it says in Pasuk, Ato v'secha, he has to convince his wife to come along. Well, that's a side machloikas, but here we know that the wife has a chiyuv or has an obligation to go up to the Beis Hamikdash, to Yerushalayim, not Beis Hamikdash, to be in Yerushalayim, to be with her husband, to be with her family. So the mother has to walk up. So the mothers, and back in the days, the mothers used to have the pouches and the back pouches front, or maybe whatever it was. Men did not really have that. And so the mothers brought him to the Yerushalayim, and from there on, the father that has the chiyuv himself to go to the Azara to bring the korbanos to be seen, so he has a chiyuv also to teach his son. So Na'ar Bashamay says, at what age does this start? It says the mother can bring him to the Yerushalayim, but if he's old enough to ride on the father's shoulders, the father should take him. It doesn't say the mother should take him up. The father that has the chiyuv of teaching his son puts him on the shoulders according to Bashamay, and according to Basila, he has to be able to walk. If you can hold on, if you can ride on the shoulders. So now, Rebbe said, I have a good proof for Basil words that he has to be able to walk himself and not ride on the shoulders. He answered, instead of Basil, Tachas Basil, he answered the words of Bashamai. He counter-argued to Bashamai. It says a pasuk by Elkanah and Chana. What says Chana she was davening for a child. Shmuel Hanavi was born Gimel Nisan. That Pesach, I doubt that Chana went up. It's within 2 weeks of being born. I think we thought that's not a question. But even the next year, Shmuel Hanavi was 1 year old and a week and a half. 1 year old and a week and a half. And that year, Chana told her husband, "I'm not going up to Yerushalayim." And here's actually also proof. You see the woman go up to Yerushalayim because the year before, when she davened for the child, 2 years before, when she davened for a child, she went up to Yerushalayim during Aliyah Regel. Sorry, she didn't go to Yerushalayim. She was in Shiloh. It was in Shiloh. It says over there that Chana did not go up. Ki Alma, she told her husband, told Isha, Adi Gomil Anal, until I wean off my child, which is about the age of 2, and that's when a child usually starts walking. Vavi Yosef, that's when I'm going to bring him. Now, Elkanah, it says in Pasuk that he was from Ephraim, from the area of Ephraim. Shiloh was also in Ephraim, so the area, he wasn't such a far walk. Still, Chana said, I'm not going up because I'm waiting till he's weaned. And we know, usually weaning is at age 2, and that's usually about when a child can walk comfortably, fully, and go up. So she told her husband, I'm not going up until he can actually walk, till he's weaned, which means he can walk. Shmuel. So now, if we hold according to Beishamai that he can ride on the shoulder, he could have gone up the first Pesach, right on the father's shoulder as a 1-year-old. And the mother said, no, I want him to be able to walk. He was not old enough. He was 1 year old. He was old enough to ride on the father's shoulders, yet she says, I want to stay. And here's proof that like Basil, that you have to be able to walk up. So the father of Rebbe told Rebbe, no, that's not a proof. The truth is, there's a different reason why she didn't go up. And therefore, it's not proof to say, like Basil, according to your opinion, according to your reasoning, that you say that the reason she didn't go up is because she didn't want to go up. But Chana itself had a chiyuv to go up. Didn't we just say the mothers also have a chiyuv to be besimcha in Yerushalayim? Chana Gufa, we're going to ask a question on Chana itself. Does she not have the chiyuv besimcha? She should have walked up to Yerushalayim holding Shmuel in her pouch, in her hand, and then Shmuel not going up. It doesn't make a difference. Why did she say she herself is not going up? It doesn't make sense. There must be Chana the reason why she herself also didn't go up. El Chana mifankusa yaseyasa chazi b'Shmuel. Chana saw that Shmuel was a very delicate baby. V'chasha b'Shmuel l'chulcha de'udcha, and she was worried that Shmuel is going to get sicker on the way to the Shalayim. Therefore, he's considered a choyle. The Mishnah says a choyle does not have to go to Shalayim. Not only does a choyle not go up to Shalayim, not only does a sick person not go up to Shalayim, but meshamshei, and whoever serves the choyle, whoever serves the sick person, also doesn't go up. Chana said, I'm not going up because Shmuel is not feeling well. That's why I'm not going. Why am I not going up? Because I'm the one that's feeding him, and I'm the one that's taking care of him. Therefore, I'm not going up. The reason is not because he can't walk. The reason is because he was a delicate child.
Also, she'd have to leave him there.
Huh?
He was dedicated to the Beis Hamikdash. So once she brought him,
Once she brought him, had to leave also. That's a side note. But
she brought him so early.
yeah.
Probably the first Pesach, she was a chayla.
But she was a chayla, correct? She was a chayla. She was only within the first 30 days after childbirth. Okay. Sagt die Gemara weiter. Boy Rab Shimon. Rab Shimon asked a question. Which come if yesterday from like Boy, but Stam Rab Shimon is Rab Shimon B'Choy. So Boy Rab Shimon asked, Koten Chiged. If a child is limping, Ledivre B'Shamai. According to Basil, if a child is limping, it doesn't have to go up. If an adult is limping, it doesn't have to go up. If a child is limping, also doesn't have to go up because there's no chinuch. What are you going to teach him, that he has to go up limping? There's no chinuch. But according to Shmuel, according to Beis Shammai, if the child is limping, he could ride on the shoulders. That part of chinuch still exists. The idea of going up a shalaim, riding on the shoulders still exists. So we asked him this question according to Beis Shammai. What if a child cannot walk? He's limping. Should the father take him on the shoulders? Now, a question for both. If a child is blind, according to Beis Shammai and Basil, an adult summa does not have to go up. An adult blind person does not go to Beis Hamikdash. Why? Because he has to be seen and he has to see. What if the child is blind? So first of all, if the adult is not chayav, then why the child? The Gemara is going to say that we have to dissect this question. Mao. What's going to be the halacha with a child that's either limping or the child that is blind? Hey chedam, the Gemara asks. How does that explain the case? Are you talking about someone that he's lame? His foot will never stretch out. His foot will never work properly, even as an adult. And we talk about a sumo and a blind person. He will never open his eyes. He will be blind forever. That we can't be talking about. Why? Hashte godel potter. An adult, if he's blind or can't walk, is potter. Do I even have to teach? Is there a concept of chinuch, teaching a blind child to go up? He himself, as an adult, he's not going to have. There's nothing to teach him. So we're not talking about a child that is forever blind, that is blind, and or will never be able to walk. We're talking about someone that has a temporary blindness or temporary limping. Talking about a kid that is limping now, but Hashem will be healed. Or a blind person that will be healed and will be able to see. So what's the halacha? There's a child that is blind now, but eventually as an adult he will not be blind. Do we teach him now so that he should know what to do when he goes to the Beis Hamikdash? The same thing also of a child that's limping, according to Beis Shammai. Do we teach him now what's going to be when you're going to be healed? We look at what's now, we don't look at what's like. Whenever the gadol is chayav, if he's walking or seeing, we also teach the little child but now, then the is also. If the child is blind now, even though later on he will see, we do not teach him. There's another machlokes. How much? There were 3 korbanos he brought in the Beis Hamikdash: the Korban Raiy'ah, the fact that you're seeing the Beis Hamikdash, you're seeing and seen, and the Shalmei Chagiga and the Shalmei Simcha. So the Mishnah says how much money you have to spend on each korban. The Shammai says on the Korban Raiy'ah you have to spend a minimum of shtei kesef, 2 silver coins, and the Chagiga is less, only 1 silver coin. But still says the opposite. Chagiga is more expensive, 2 silver coins, and the Raiy'ah is only 1 coin. So Shammai say, what's the reason to say that the Raiy'ah is more expensive? Raiy'ah shtei kesef, Chagiga more kesef. Chagiga is only 100 zuz, 1 kesef. Raiy'ah oila kula, because the Raiy'ah is a korban oila that is entirely going to the mizbeach. Lagakula lagavoy, it goes on the mizbeach entirely. The owner does not get to eat anything of the korban Raiy'ah. So therefore, it's a more chashiv korban. It goes in 100% to the Eibishter. Mashenke bechagiga, the korban chagiga. Some of it goes in mizbeach, and some of it the owner eats. So therefore, it's a lesser korban. Ve'oid, don't only rely on my way of thinking. I'm going to bring you proof. But sinu batzeres on Yontev of Shavuos, there's a korban. We bring the shtei alechem. We bring the 2 lechem along with the shtei alechem. What do we bring? We bring a ton of korbanos, but we bring more oilers than shlamim. We bring more korban oilers than korban shlamim. Sheriba ben akosov beoilers yesim shlamim. We bring more korban oilers than shlamim. So we see that the korban oiler carries a lot more weight, and therefore now when you bring when you come up for Aliyah regel, on the Korban Raiy'ah you're going to spend more because that's an oila. On the Korban Chagiga, that's a shlamim, you're going to spend less. Very good. Basil disagrees. Basil I'm mishtaria more kesef, Chagiga shtei kesef. The opposite. Chagiga yeshna lifnei hadibur. Very interesting. We find the Korban Chagiga lifnei hadibur, before the Torah was given. Where do we find it? Let's look at Rashi. Yeshna lifnei hadibur, right next to this Gemara. Yeshna lifnei hadibur says Rashi. Koidem matan Torah kiva shlam b'Sinai. Before matan Torah, they brought Korban shlam in Sinai. The Chsiv, it says a pasuk. Vayishlach es nare b'nei Yisrael. It says the pasuk that Moshe Rabbeinu sent the youngsters of the yidden, and the pasuk says v'yala oila is the brother Korban oila. Vayizbechu zvachim shlamim, and they brought Korban shlamim. L'Hashem parim, they brought oxen, cows. So here we see that they brought the Korban shlamim, even though it says in the pasuk also oila. That will be discussed soon. But we see that the Korban shlamim was brought, which is a Korban Chagiga that was brought right before the Eibishter gave the title, which means it precedes any Korbanos. So because of that, it's worth more. Even though this pasuk is brought down in Ve'ela Mishpatim, which is the parasha after Yisrael, which means it's the parasha after Matan Torah, but still the story of bringing the Korban Chagiga was before, because we know already there's no chronological order in the Torah. And Maseches Chagiga, Rabbi Yossi gives the order what happened during Sivan. So it says B'Sheni Aliyah. Moshe Rabbeinu went up on base Sivan and he came back down the mountain. B'Shlisha Aliyah, the third day Moshe Rabbeinu went up the mountain and he came back down. V'B'Revi, the fourth day Moshe Rabbeinu went up the mountain and he went back down the mountain. V'Shuv le'Olah, and he did not go up again. V'Chamishi, on the fifth day he built a mizbeach. Ve'yikiv of Korban, and he brought a Korban. That's the Korban we're talking about. On the next day B'Shishi nitnot Vav Sivan, the Torah was given. Zog the Gemara. When you look in the Psukim, you do not. By Avram it says Vayiv Mizbeach. By Yitzchak it says Vayiv Mizbeach. Yaakov says Vayiv Mizbeach. We don't find that Moshe Rabbeinu built a Mizbeach to bring the Korban. So where does Rabbi Yossi take it that this was happened before? No, so basically we must say that the Korban that says in Mishpatim, which is connection with the Torah, this must be. So he built the Mizbeach on the fifth day, and he brought the Korban Chagiga on the fifth day. And the Vayishlach that it's the only Korban we find. Okay, the Gemara later on is going to ask what it says Oila also. And here we see that it was a Korban Chagiga precedes any Korbanos, and therefore it has more worth, has more weight, and therefore on the Chagiga you're going to be spending 2 silver coins, and on the Oila, the Iyah, you're going to spend only 1 silver coin. So back in the Gemara, Basila my time in the Amrik B'Shamai. Sorry. Basila Iyah Mar Kesef Chagiga Shtei Kesef. Shechagiga Yeshna Lefnei Hadibur. Chagiga, we find the Korban Chagiga before Aseres Hadibus. Masha Ein Kedem B'Riyah, we don't find an Oila before Aseres Hadibus. Don't rely only on my opinion. Ve'oid Matzinu B'Nesim, we find a Korban. The Nesim, they each brought a Korban by Chanukah's Mizbeach, and it says there that when they brought this Korban, they brought a lot of shlamim. Shariva ben Akosta b'shlamim, yoisim b'oilas. They brought more Korban shlamim, more than oilas. So we see the shlamim carries more weight, and therefore a Korban shlamim is worth more, and you're going to be spending more money on a Korban shlamim. That's Basil. Yeah, so basically, that's the Machlekes B'Shamai. Basil B'Shamai says Chagiga 2, Chagiga 1, the Iyah 2. Basil says the opposite, and I bring proof. B'Shamai says that it is because that we see that that by Shavuos there's more Korban oilas. Basil says no, Nisim worth more Korban shlam. Now the Gemara is going to ask, okay, it's very nice that this is what you hold, this is your opinion, but why can't you agree with the other guy? Basil in my time with B'Shamai. Why does Basil not agree with B'Shamai that the Korban Iyah should be worth more? For the fact that you say the Iyah is more important, the oil kula galagavoya, because it's a Korban oil and it goes entirely to the Mizbeach, I'll give you a counter argument. The opposite. Chagiga agdifa. A Korban oil is a simple Korban. It goes entirely for the Eibishter. But Chagiga has such a specialty that we divide the Korban. Part of it is Mizbeach, part of it goes, the person eats. The isba shtei achilas. There's 2 eatings, the Mizbeach and the person and the owner. So therefore, don't tell me that the Korban oil is more important. Maybe the Chagiga is adif, is better. The Kohamis Neilef Met says the fact that he say learn from the Korban from the Shtei Alechem and Shavuos. So he says no. The Korban of Shtei Alechem is a communal Korban. It came from the community, and the Korban that the person brings every Aliyah Regel is his personal Korban. I'm not going to learn from a communal Korban halachas that are negayat to a personal Korban. Done in Korban Yachid mi Korban Yachid. We can learn halachas of a Korban Yachid from another Korban Yachid. When done in Korban Yachid mi Korban Tzimur. We cannot learn halachas from a communal Korban to a Korban Yachid. Okay, very good. But still, knock down Beshamai's entire opinion and his proof that. Okay, so now Beshama, what's Beshama going to say? Beshama time Lam Basil Bible Beshama did disagree with.
What's nail from Atzeres? I missed that. What should we learn from Atzeres?
Beshama said that we can look at the Korban of Shtei Alechem on the Shavuos, and at that Korban there were a lot of Korban oilers. Therefore, Korban oilers is more important than Korban Shalom. So Basil said it's true. That's not true. But I can't learn me as a person that I'm going to go to Beis Hamikdash and I'm going to bring a personal Korban. I can't learn the halachas from a communal Korban. So Beshame has a different taina on Basil. Basil says you're learning from Nisim. Nisim was a Korban that was only once by the Chanukas HaMizbeach. And a Chanukas HaMishkan will never ever happen again. I rather learn from a communal Korban, that's something that happens every Yontif, every Shavuos, than learning from a Korban that only existed once in Moshe Rabbeinu's time. Beshamai Ubeshamai time la Amik Basil. Why don't they say Basil? Zakten ze azay deko amos Chagiga difa. You say that Chagiga is more the Yeshna Lifnei Adiva because Chagiga is found as a Korban before Matan Torah. The pasuk says clearly that the Moshe Rabbeinu told them they should bring up a Korban. First he mentions Korban Oila and then he mentions Korban Chagiga. We find the Korban Oila before Matan Torah. And the fact that you say you learn from the Nisim that they brought a Korban and they brought way more Shlomim than Oilas. No, we're going to learn halachas from something that happens every generation, from another Korban that happens every generation. A Korban Chagiga, Korban the Iyo, you have to bring every generation. A Korban of Shavuos, you also have to bring every generation. So you can learn from one Korban, from that same Korban. But you're not going to learn from a Korban that is only once. You're not going to learn halachas from a Korban Chagiga or the Iyo that is every generation, from a Korban that it was only once in a lifetime with the Nisim. Okay? So this, both brought their opinions and both said why they're sticking to it, why they have a problem with the other person. And obviously Basil disagrees. Basil says, I rather learn from a Korban Yochid rather than from something, from a Korban Abin, and Beshama disagrees. So basically, that's their opinion. How do you learn it? Basil itself, we said, the pasuk says very clearly that the Vayishlach Esnar b'nei Yisrael Moshe Rabbeinu sent the youngsters of the yidden Vayalu oilos vayizbechu zvachim shlomim. They brought Korban oila and they brought Korban shlomim. Why does Basil say there was no Korban oila before the Matan Torah? There was a Korban oila. Sagt the Gemara Basil Ma'ishne Chagiga the Yeshna Lifnei Adibu the Chsiv vayizbechu zvachim shlomim. Why do you say the Chagiga existed? Because there was a Korban Shlom. What kind of Korban Shlom did it bring? It was a Korban Chagiga, was Yantif. There's also Korban Riyah, the Chsiv, it says in Pasuk, Vayalu Oilos, they brought the Korban Oila. And for the Gemara, Kosav Basil says, Oila Shekriva b'nei Yisrael mido, Oilas tamid ha'ava. The first Korban Oila that Yidden ever brought was the Korban Oila that Moshe Rabbeinu told him to bring. So this was a Korban Oilas tamid, not a Korban Oilas Riyah. They disagreed on what kind of Korban it was. So the Gemara is going to go into that. Was it a Korban Tamid or was it a Korban Riyah? So Amar Abaye said Beshamai v'Rabbi Shmuel v'Rabbi Eliezer. The Goss Bach changes it. The Goss Bach changes it because Shmuel was a Kohen and Rabbi Eliezer was not. So he says Beshamai, Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Eliezer, Kulu Svirlu Oila Shegir B'Yisrael Midbar and Asriya Haven. They all say that the Korban Oila that the pasuk says Moshe Rabbeinu told them to bring Korban Oila, it was a Korban Oila Zriyah. Ubeis Hillel, Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Yosef Glili, and Beis Hillel, Rabbi Akiva, and Beis Glili, Kula Svirla, they all say Oila Shekir B'Yisrael Midbar and Tamid Haven. It's a Korban Oila. Flex the Shaila. We know.
Oilas Tamid is like of every day.
Every day, morning twice, morning and night, yeah.
Or afternoon.
Morning, afternoon, Mincha time, yeah. We know that Allah is always like Beis Hillel. How can Shmuel and Rabbi Akiva, Shmuel and Rabbi Eliezer say it according to Beshamai? They know that Allah is Beis Hillel. Why go to go on? Zok Taisvis. Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Eliezer on the side. Ve'ein lahakshos. You can't ask a question. V'shafki b'sil v'avdik b'shamai. They left b'sil and they're going to do like b'shamai. Hala, we know a klal. We know a rule. B'shamai b'mokim b'sil in a mishnah. B'shamai in the place of b'sil. If you have a machlokes b'shamai b'sil, it's not a mishnah. Mishnah is the nickname for halacha. So, or it's used interchangeable. Sometimes when it says that they learned halacha, they actually meant they learned mishnayos. So we know that the halacha is that whenever it's b'shamai, whenever in it's b'sil, we go according to b'sil. So did the Shmuel and ו.א-ו.ב did they leave the mishnah? Did they leave? Did they leave b'sil? V'shloimah the svilu the nechluk b'sham b'sil b'davazeh. That actually Shmuel and ו.א-ו.ב did not know that it was a machlokes. They just thought everyone agreed it was a korban elas tamid. Elas tamid. They did not know there was a machlokes. Had they known it was machlokes, maybe Taka would have changed their mind. And the Gemara later on, we'll see. I don't know if we're going to get to it today. That Shmuel Taka, we don't know if he says elas tamid or elas Aliyah. Zat the Gemara weiter. So where do we see all this? Where do we see that Shmuel, ו.א-ו.ב and B'Shamai say that's elas tamid? B'Shamai, hodamol. We just said before. B'Shamai says it's elas tamid. Rabbi Shmuel, the Tani, Rabbi Shmuel Loimel, and the Nablash, Rabbi Shmuel says like this: when Moshe Rabbeinu went up the mountain to receive the Torah, he only got klolos. He only got general terms. Did not get the details of the mitzvah. Klolos then b'Sinai. On Hasinai Moshe Rabbeinu got klolos, general rules, general mitzvahs. Uprata is the details of the mitzvah. The Eibusha later on told him in Oil Moed. He revealed himself in Oil Moed multiple times. The Eibusha told him the details. Rabbi Akiva disagrees, and it says klolos supports them to Sinai, that both of them, the details and the general mitzvahs, were given in Sinai, and then the Eibusha came to Moshe Rabbeinu in Oil Moed. What did he teach him? He repeated it. V'nishna Oil Moed, v'nishtal shuba avas moed, and the third time he learned avas moed. So now, if according to Rabbi Shmuel, the Eibusha told Moshe Rabbeinu only general things, and Moshe Rabbeinu decided we're going to bring, these are the first 3 days Moshe Rabbeinu went up and down. The Eibusha told him these halachas. And Moshe Rabbeinu comes down and tells the yidden, we're doing a korban oila. Korban oila has many details. The Gemara is going to say it has skinning, and it has cutting, and it has this, all these type of details. Moshe Rabbeinu didn't get these, according to Rabbi Shmuel, Moshe Rabbeinu did not get these details until much later. Until much later. And by Korban tamid, we know it's brought, all these details are brought on the Korban tamid. And by Korban Raiy'ah, it doesn't say all these details. So we must say that the Korban Raiy'ah at that time, when they brought it as one piece. They didn't bring it, they didn't cut it, they didn't skin it, etc. But according to Rabbi Shmuel, they say it's a Korban tamid. Tamid has a lot of details. Moshe Rabbeinu did not get details. So how can he say? No, so it must be. One second. Let's give him a close. If you say that it was a korban tamid, no, sorry, Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Yosef, they say korban tamid. Rabbi Shmuel says it's a korban Raiy'ah. So now again, korban tamid and oilas tamid has a lot of details. Rabbi Shmuel can't say it was a korban tamid because he said the details we only got later. So if you say that the korban was a korban tamid, mi'i kemidi, does it exist? The concept that may call did they bring a korban, the Raiy'ah? Did they bring a korban? Did they bring a korban tamid? The Shmuel basically is saying to Rabbi Akiva, did they bring a korban tamid that has so many details, and then they didn't skin it, and only later got the details? The next korban tamid they actually skinned it and cut it in pieces. It's not possible. They obviously brought the korban tamid keil chasa, the way it's supposed to be. So Muzman Zag, we have to say that the first korban that they brought then was not a korban tamid that has so many details. It's talking about a korban that did not have details, and it's a korban tamid keil. So again, Rabbi Shmuel says that the korban oila that was brought there was a korban Raiy'ah, and he says why? Because the general rules were given in Sinai, the details came later. So Rabbi Shmuel says the korban that was brought before we got the details must be such a korban that does not have any details, like a korban Raiy'ah. A korban tamid has many details, and this was not a korban tamid. Rabbi Akiva says no, it still was a korban tamid.
1 second, it was actually a korban. There was no Raiy'ah then in the times of the
There was, so they say there was. First food, Eibusha came down.
There was an Indian of Raiy'ah in the Mishnah?
That was the first time.
The pasuk is saying.
It was only
that's
Beis
what-
Hamikdash.
Huh?
It was only later Beis Hamikdash.
It was the Mishkan. First was also by the Mishkan, but then, yeah, it was first Mishkan Shila they had it, the Mishkan they had it, but this was the first time that Moshe Rabbeinu taught them, according to the Shmuel and the other opinions, Moshe Rabbeinu taught them that yes, when you come out to Beis Hamikdash, you're gonna have to bring a Korban Eiyah.
So it had the halachas of the Korban, but it was actually.
Yeah, it was that Korban, and they apparently didn't skin it. They didn't skin it or cut it. It was just brought out like that to the Mizbeach, the entire thing. So basically, that's Rabbi Shmuel's proof. We wanted to know where does Rabbi Shmuel learn it from. It says this is Rabbi Shmuel's proof. Zog the Gemara weiter. Rabbi Lazar, where do we know Rabbi Lazar? The Tanya, well, in the Baisa Oylas Tamid or Asir Asina. That says like very clear pasuk that Oylas Tamid. Where was the Oylas Tamid done? Basar Sinai. Explains Rabbi Lazar. Rabbi Lazar Ayman. No, the Oylas Tamid wasn't Har Sinai. The Korban Oyla that we said there was not the Tamid. Maaseh Onem B'Sinai. Moshe Rabbeinu got the details or the mitzvah to make a Korban Oyla in Sinai. But the actual Korban was not brought down. So, but as it says that the Korban tamid was not brought by Hasinai. That Korban was a Korban Re'iyah, not a Korban tamid. So we said Basham in Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Lezer say that it is a Korban Re'iyah. We see from here that it's not a Korban tamid, it's a Korban Re'iyah. Now the other side.
Yeah, Chagiga are interchangeable for this?
No.
Chagiga is a separate.
Yeah. We finished the thing which one is worth more, but now we dwell on the actual thing where it says that Moshe Rabbeinu brought a Korban oil and Korban shlamim. What kind of Korbanos was it? Zog die Gemara weiter. Rabbi Kiva disagrees with Allah, and it says Kreva v'shuv lePaschal. Yes, the yidden brought a Korban tamid before they got the Torah, but shuv lePaschal they never stopped bringing a Korban tamid. Elamani mekayim a question. It says in Navi, it says that the Eibishter is complaining to the Yidden, Hazvachim o minichoi gashtem li bamidbar b'hoshana b'Yisrael. You Yidden, did you ever bring me a Korban? Hazvachim, any type of Korban? Here we see that Yidden didn't bring any Korban. How do you say that the Yidden brought a Korban? So it's a simple answer. Shifter shel Levi shel Avda v'Nezah shkoyach. The Shevet Levi that did not do Avedazah, they brought the Korbanos. So yes, the Oylas Tamid that was brought down before Matan Torah, that Korban was brought by the Levim. Okay, now we go to the other thing, the other side. We said Basil, Rabbi Kiva, and Rabbi Yossi Aglili, they all said that there was a Korban Tamid. Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Yossi Aglili, Rabbi Kiva are all contemporaries. They were friends, and they were Tanoim at the same time, and they argued. Okay. Zag the Gemara Azar. Basil Hadamon. We said before Basil says that it was a Korban Tamid. Rabbi Kiva Hanavi. We just said before. Rabbi Kiva said yes, we brought a Korban Tamid, and they never stopped bringing Korban Tamid. Rabbi Yossi Aglili, the Tani will learn Rabbi basically Oima. Shalish mitzvahs nitztavu Yisrael ba'aloisim l'regel. Yidden got a command, 3 mitzvahs. Raiy'ah, a Korban Raiy'ah, Chagiga, Korban Chagiga, v'simcha and simcha, shalom v'simcha. And Rabbi Yossi continues and says, Yesh b'Raiy'ah she'ein b'shteim. There's something unique in the Korban Raiy'ah that doesn't exist by the other 2 Korbanos. V'yesh b'Chagiga she'ein b'shteim, and there's something unique with Chagiga. V'yesh b'simcha she'ein b'shteim, and there's something unique with Korban Simcha that doesn't exist by the other 2. Yesh b'Raiy'ah she'ein b'shteim. What is unique by the Korban Raiy'ah? She'iyah oila kula l'gavoya. That the Korban Raiy'ah is an oila entirely to the Mizbeach. Mashein ken b'shteim, the Chagiga is a shlam. It's a part the owner eats, and part the Mizbeach eats, and also the shalom simcha is also the owner eats. Yesh b'Chagiga mashein b'shteim. There's something, a unique thing about the Korban Chagiga that doesn't exist by the other 2 Korbanos, the Iyah and Simcha. She'Chagiga yesh lefnei adibul, because the Korban Chagiga existed before dibul. Mashein b'shteim, but the oilas the Iyah and shalom simcha did not exist before Matan Torah. So here we have proof that Rabbi Yossi Aglili says that before Matan Torah, the oil that brought is not the Iyah. It's got to be Korban Tamid. Yesh b'simcha mashein b'shteim. What's unique about the Korban of Simcha? Simcha neheges b'noshim u'v'noshim. Simcha, Korban Simcha, the concept of Simcha that you eat flesh, pashat, you eat flesh, ein Simcha el b'basal, exists by both men and women. Mashein b'shteim, the Korban of the Iyah is only men, Korban Chagiga is only men. So this is unique about Korban Chagiga. Alright, so we have the 3 opinions, Rabbi Kiva, Rabbi Yossi Aglili, and Basil. against Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Eliezer, and Beshamai. It's like Gemara is going to say Rabbi Shmuel actually we're going to take off. Why? It's like the Gemara, Rabbi Shmuel was friendly with Rabbi Siglili. He knew what Rabbi Siglili said. Rabbi Shmuel, my time, kamuk mislek Beshamai. Why do you say Rabbi Shmuel agrees with Beshamai? You want to say because Rabbi Shmuel said that the kololos, the general mitzvahs, were given in Sinai, and the pratis was given only in the Oil Mayat, and therefore you'll say that when Moshe Rabbeinu told the Yidden to bring a Korban Oila, he didn't give them a general. He had to gave them all details. So it must be it's a Korban Aliyah, not Korban Tamid. I will ask you on that. I will counter this argument. What did he say? Because Al Gadaitach he said. Is Al Gadaitach Shekiv Yisrael Midbar Oilas Tamid have sorry B'Shmavat is Al Gadaitach Oila Shekiv Yisrael Midbar Oilas Tamid have. What did he say? The argument he said, if you say it's a Korban Tamid, it can be because Korban Tamid has a lot of details. You have to skin it, you have to cut it, and it's not possible that Moshe Rabbeinu told the Yidden to bring a Korban that now the rules were like this, and later on I got to details and the rules changed. So we must be talking about Korban Aliyah that the rules were the same, or that the rules that didn't exist. It doesn't say clearly by the Korban Aliyah that it has to have cutting and skinning. But Rabbi Shmuel, I'm going to ask you a question of Rabbi Yossi Aglili the Amar. Rabbi Yossi Aglili, your friend, said, we learned in Moed I believe, that when Rabbi Shmuel's two sons passed away, Rabbi Yossi Aglili was one of the people that came to Menachem Avlan. So they were friends, and they learned together. You know what Rabbi Yossi Aglili said? Oila shekrivu yisrael b'midbar oilas tamid have. Rabbi Yossi Aglili said it's a Korban Tamid, and more. Meikol loy boy. Rabbi Yossi Aglili says very clearly, yes, the first Korban Tamid, we did not skin it and we did not cut it. It went up as one piece. And you know that Rabbi Yossi said that, so you can say that the first Korban is Taka Korban Tamid. Are you going to say that the details weren't given in Sinai? No, they were talking no details. We brought it up as is. The Tana, how do we know basically it says? The Tana basically basically said that the Korban Oilas Tamid, that the Yidden brought in the Midbar, the first time, did not need skinning and cutting because very clearly those details only got in Oil Moed. Rabbi Yossi really agrees with Rabbi Shmuel that the details we got later, yet he says it's a Korban Tamid because the details weren't important. So the Gemara Sami Mikana Shmuel, delete from the three people that we mentioned that it was a Korban Tamid, you take off Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Shmuel actually does not say that the Korban Oila was a Korban Tamid. I'll finish the page. Mine is only 9:04. Finish the page. But Chizda asked the question. This pasuk that we mentioned, that the Moshe Rabbeinu sent the youngsters of the Yidden.
What's Aliyah math? I didn't get that one.
The 40 years, 40 years, 40 days. Okay, yeah. So the math makes sense. Zog the Gemara, the boy of Chizda. There's nothing against Aliyah. I send my kids to Aliyah. So. V.א-v.b Haika, this pasuk that Moshe Rabbeinu told the youngsters to bring a Korban Oil and Korban Shlomim. Heichiksiv. What does it say there? It says in the pasuk, "Vayishlach es na'ar b'nei Yisrael vayalo oilos vayizbechu zvachim shlomim Hashem parim." It says that they brought oilos, they brought shlomim, and it says Hashem parim. They were oxen or they were cows. Were both of them oxen? Were both the parim, were the shlomim oxen and the oilos oxen, or was there only one? Zakt Razoi. Do we read Vayishlach es na'ar b'nei Yisrael v'yalo oilos kvasim? Stop. Vayizbechu zvachim shlomim Hashem parim. The shlomim were parim. The oilos were kvasim. Oy dilma idividipah. Maybe the pasuk says both. Fatima, what difference does it make? It's supposed to happen in history. What difference does it make to you? Very interesting. Two differences. L'mayna afkemina Mazuta says lepisuk timim. How do we read? How does the Balkaida read it? Zakt Rashi lepisuk timim b'neginis. When you sing it in shul, im toim shnei minim. If you say it's two species, tzorach hataliv sekatam shavyalo el vesnachta. You have to stop. Vayalu oilos and make a snachta. The way we read it now, there is a snachta there. Or bezakif katan, because zakif katan, the two dots is actually a tamid, is mafsik. Tamid mafsik leave mashalachav. It cuts the before and after. If it's the same species, you have to read it any other time. Anyways, how do you read it in the Torah? That's the Gemina. Mazuto amam. Is a muzut and lifsak timing. How do we read it? And if he says, someone says, I want to bring Korban just like the oila that Eden brought the midbar, we don't know. Was it polim? Was it ox? Was it an ox? Or was it the sheep? My poem take it, we don't know the answer. Now the question really is, at the end, the pasuk says it's esnachto. So we should say that it's two different species. Yeah, there is an esnachto there. So there is a mefarish in the Chumash. He was as a Baal Tosfos in the 1200s, and he taught that the esnachto is inconclusive. Esnachto means you just separated between the zvachim and the shlomim. It doesn't mean that he's separating the entire pasuk. And therefore, today we will read all the mefashim say we don't know. We don't know the answer. We don't know the answer to it as Moses Steikel. But the reason why we have a esnachto is another 5 times in the Gemara that has a esnachto. We don't know the inclusive where it belongs to, and it says that the esnachto doesn't divide it totally or just makes a separation between the zvach and the shlomim.